I've been thinking a lot about a tweet that the GOP House Judiciary Committee sent a few months ago. It was very simple. It was 3 words with a period after each word, and it said Kanye, Elon, Trump. It was something that was roundly celebrated or mocked, depending on who you were talking to. But I think there's something actually much deeper at play with this. And it signifies some things that are maybe good in conservative politics, but also some very real risks in conservative politics. I think what this tweet encapsulates is what we might call a great man theory of celebrity politics. A lot of conservatives have put their hopes in figures like Kanye, Elon, and Trump because they believe that we need these great men in an era of mass media, meaning great men of celebrity or wealth, in order to advance conservative political causes. And so I think that in all 3 of these figures, we can really make 3 key points. 1, these are dissident elites. Kanye, Elon, and Trump are all members of a plutocratic class. They're rich, they're famous, they're powerful, they have an audience of millions of people around the world, and yet they are going against the grain of the dominant left-wing cultural discourse. So they are, in a very real sense, dissidents. Trump, for example, was always a kind of Queens dissident of the Manhattan social elites. Kanye, of course, when he put on the red MAGA cap, was a dissident among his own group of artists, of culture and tastemakers. And then, of course, Elon Musk, as he's taken over Twitter and memeing his way into kind of right-wing celebrity, is going against the grain of Silicon Valley. Second, conservatives, I think, believe that you need these great men in order to advance their politics because they have the wealth and charisma that it takes to stand up against that dominant system. And so these are the celebrities that embody that power. They have these tremendous reserves. And I think the theory goes that they have then the courage to speak out because they can't be canceled, they can't be fired, they can't be marginalized in the same way that someone with less wealth or power could be. So many conservatives look around, they see people who they know getting their careers tarnished, their reputations destroyed, their livelihoods taken away. And they say, well, we need a kind of Schwarzenegger figure or a Trump figure or someone with the independent means that can withstand the heat, that can withstand the fighting back. And second, I think that they really believe that this is almost a postmodern twist on that great man theory. Conservative libertarians from the previous generation worship the figure of a John Galt, that key character in the Ayn Rand novel who stood against the dominant society in opposition to it and had the courage to kind of wrest creative and entrepreneurial control away from the great bureaucracies, the great machine, the great kind of socialist structures, and towards this higher capitalist and artistic expression. I think this is really a postmodern twist, taking that but actually applying it through the lens of celebrity. To say, well, in a celebrity culture, in a reality TV culture, in a kind of Instagram culture, we need someone that is kind of a Kardashian famous in the case of Kanye West, or really famous for decades in the case of Trump, making his image as this brash businessman, this reality TV star, this person who was always really figuring out how to manipulate the paparazzi and the celebrity media in his favor. And then Elon Musk, who of course is the wealthiest man in the world, but also someone that has a real cult following. I know, as the father of a preteen, all of my son's friends, they love Elon, they love Dogecoin, they love Tesla. He is not only the richest, but he's really in many ways the most famous technologist of our time. And so you have this kind of neo-postmodern John Galt thesis or great man thesis that conservatives have put a lot of weight into. But there's a dark side to this. There's a downside to this. There's a tremendous risk to this. The first risk, I think, is obvious. We've seen this, what I call the swarm. If you step into the breach against that left-wing orthodoxy, especially the left-wing cultural orthodoxy, you're going to see all of the American institutions start to line up against you. We saw that, of course, with Trump during the term of his 4-year presidency. We saw that in really, honestly, with good reason with Kanye as he engaged not just in this kind of political transgression, but then into outright racism and anti-Semitism. In that case, I think very much deservedly so. And we saw it with Elon with the tech companies, with the government, with the media organizations, as he was challenging the rules of the game of discourse by taking over Twitter, line up against him with the threats of investigations, SEC complaints, lawsuits, character assassination attempts, all of these various attacks that you saw this swarm. And it really does tremendous damage. Many of us in media have experienced the swarm in kind of writ small, looking at the attacks of various institutions. If you're challenging critical race theory or gender ideology, for example, but when you're talking about someone like Trump or someone like Elon, it's at a much higher level. It's institutional powers that are really seeking to undermine you and seeking to maintain the status quo. And so what we've seen, though, and I think it's very instructive and reveals the one of the flaws or the dangers in this strategy, is you've seen that it actually creates this pressure system against the individual. And that cult of personality is then reduced to revealing personality flaws, or really personality complexes in many cases. So Trump, we've seen, despite many good things he's done in advancing conservative politics, he was reduced to this kind of maybe paranoia, attention seeking, certainly narcissism. You saw all of those personality traits revealed under pressure. Kanye, of course, had the most spectacular meltdown. It's something that we probably all followed very closely as it was unfolding. Really revealed himself to be a kind of paranoid, bipolar figure, a hate figure, transacting some of the most noxious lies and tropes into kind of wearing these bizarre costumes and then openly embracing Nazism. Really vile stuff, hideous stuff. And that carefree, transgressive cultural figure who many people loved over the previous few decades was reduced to this hot mess on the stage of the Alex Jones show, really revealing his deepest personality flaws, deepest personality complexes and pathologies, a kind of a Greek tragic figure, revealing himself to be an empty narcissist, an empty figure full of hatred and paranoia. And the third person, Elon, I think is still open to question. You can see the pressure on him. You can see the media pressure, the institutional pressure. You can see some of those personality flaws starting to be revealed. We'll see if he is a man of character, a man that is capable of withstanding the swarm, withstanding that pressure box, or if we'll see if it actually does, to a certain extent, break him. He is under an enormous pressure, and from my own perspective, seeking to advance a more conservative politics, I hope that he is the man that he could be. I hope that he does exhibit that strength of character and can resist this kind of horrific pressure game that's upon him. And so when you look at it in whole, you look at that kind of boasting and somewhat ridiculous tweet, Kanye, Elon, Trump, you're kind of taking score of it. You have one kind of real embarrassing failure. This idea of, well, a celebrity of Kanye's status is giving us attention, so we're going to rush to embrace him. It kind of a pathetic, I think, if any celebrity glances rightward, no matter what the risks are, we're going to endorse him. We're going to take him on as one of our own. Of course, I resisted. I never was a Kanye lover or a Kanye embracer. Many conservatives, I think, foolishly rushed in to embrace him and then saw the consequences, the complete collapse of his credibility, of his reputation, and of his ability to be an effective communicator. Trump, I think, was a mixed bet, but ultimately a good bet. Despite some of his flaws, I think he advanced conservative politics. He broke through an old status quo on the right side of the spectrum and really opened the discourse in a way that no one else could except for someone that did have that kind of great man gravitas and persona that Trump has, that kind of impudent energy saying we're going to be breaking things, we're going to be expanding the narrative, we're going to be sticking it back into the system. And although I think he took tremendous personal damage, and I think there's, of course, downsides politically for the right from Trump, I think he did advance the cause in a meaningful way. And then Elon, thirdly, is an open question. I think that there's tremendous promise, but it really hasn't come to a conclusion yet. That is a kind of open story. And so The question is, what is the power and what is the peril of leaning into this great man theory of celebrity politics, of wielding the cult of personality around men like these three as a political force? So taking that media warfare, that narrative warfare, and attaching conservative interests, conservative principles, conservative endorsements to these men who exhibit great charisma, but also great risks based in their personality. And I think that we're seeing in an oppositional media culture, which we have, and which I think is good. You want to have a oppositional media culture, not a North Korean style media culture. The cult of personality is a double-edged sword. And so conservatives, in my view, should be very careful thinking who we endorse. We shouldn't rush to affirm any celebrity that seems to be advancing a conservative ideological line. And we should be very prudent in how we manage celebrity politics. It may well be that it's necessary in our time. It may well be that the era of statesmanship is over in a mass communication environment like we have today. But if the House GOP Judiciary Committee is any signifier of this, they deleted the tweet. They got rid of Kanye, Elon, Trump. And I think they deleted it out of a sense of embarrassment, specifically around Kanye, which was a disastrous bet. And so the lesson is, celebrity politics is a dangerous game. It's high risk, high reward, but also high negatives. And so use it wisely.